thanks for everybody for coming today. As you could tell, we didn't make any moves. We had good conversations with some teams about some players, and it just didn't pan out.
So you don't have a lot of forwards, so if you're trying to get forwards, I presume, or enough goals, you don't want to trade forwards for forwards? Was that a stumbling block?
Well, we tried to add some forwards, of course, and we know we have a couple guys on the IR that makes it a little harder for us. If the right deal was there, we would have moved a forward for a forward. That wasn't we weren't handicapped that way at all, but again, it just didn't pan out.
If someone had said to you yesterday, you won't make any moves on deadline day, would you have been okay with that, or is not coming up with something today a bit of a disappointment to you?
Well, I look back, and our two big things that we wanted to do was add some character, and we did that with Sam and getting him last week, and we also wanted to, get rid of the goaltender's contract, and we did that. So we were happy with that, and we thought anything else would be a bonus. We've tried for the last couple of weeks of really talking to some teams about some players and adding and helping the club, and we weren't going to just make a trade to make a trade and say we did one on trade deadline. And just for us, we think that the players that we have, we can still win some games here, and we're close, and we've played well as of late, and that put a little bit of a factor in it too.
Keith, were you kind of expecting this?
Yeah, a little bit. The way I've talked to teams and I saw some moves that were happening, I wasn't too, taken back that really nothing happened.
Keith, the where you guys are in the standings, you're still kind of in the fight. You haven't dropped off yet. Was that a tough situation because you still want to give this team a chance to get to the playoffs? At the same time, you don't want to subtract from your roster for next year. Like, how did the situation play out in a sense of what you guys could do and couldn't do today?
Right. And like I said, we've played well lately. I think in the last 8 games, we've had one real bad game at home, and we're still in the hunt. And I talked to a couple players, and I told them, I'm not going to move you just to make a move and to help us. Today it's got to help us in the future too. So that played a big part in it, and we just felt that there wasn't anything there and to make that move.
Keith, I was just going to mention, there's some players like Nathan Bolio. He just moved some young defenseman from the Ducks. What's his name? Montour. Would this have been an opportunity to try and kind of get a player like that at this time of the year? Depending on what another team was looking for, their need was.
You're looking to always add. We're looking to add that type of player, and but again, we weren't willing to pay a high price, and you see what he went for, and you see some of the trades today, and we're not in that position yet, and we said we're not going to mortgage the future for today, and we stuck to our guns on not doing that.
Chiasson, with 17 goals, though he had cooled a little bit recently, was maybe the most talked about player. Can you just give us a sense for what was out there on Chiasson and why you decided to hang on to him?
Well, you know what? I've talked to a couple teams, and one team in particular is a lot of dialogue with them in the last week. And, I set our standard of what we were looking for and what type of player, and it had to help us today and tomorrow. I wasn't going to just take a player that's 4 or 5 years away and going to be a fourth-line player. It wasn't going to be that way. And, like I said, we feel that we're still in the hunt. And if you're going to give up a player like Chiasson, we needed something back, and it just didn't happen.
Petrovic has hardly played. Was there any interest in him? He's a veteran, but he's hardly played, so you don't necessarily want that guy sitting in the penalty box or in the press box every night.
Right. We've had calls on a lot of our players, and I wasn't going to give him away either. Like, if there's an injury or two, he's back in the lineup, and I just didn't think it was right we paid a 3rd-round pick for him, that I was going to just give him away to somebody just to say we made a deal, and again, that just wasn't going to happen.
And Zach Kassian, I would presume there's lots of teams looking for tough guys.
Yeah.
So
just with Zach, he brings an element to our hockey club that is hard to find, and not that it just didn't seem right to get rid of him for, and again, a prospect or a guy who's just going to be another player. And we feel Zach's a big part of our hockey club and what he brings, and we decide to keep on him.
Keith, one of the goals maybe for the offseason would be to clear up a little bit of space to try and get some stuff done. Were there any substantive conversations you had that maybe could have allowed you to do that, or was there an opportunity to do that just to maybe move some bodies out that would give you some space?
There was conversations on a few things that would help us, and I wouldn't say that they're even, if it didn't happen today, it's maybe down the road in the summertime that could help us in that situation. So we laid some groundwork, I think, on that with the salary cap, and hopefully we can revisit it after the season.
Keith, by not moving Chase on, this is a guy that you could lose next year, but do you guys look now maybe to sign him and to get him on the books for next year and the year after?
You know what, I talked to his agent last week about that, and I said, listen, let's just get over the deadline and then finish the year, and if he's here, we'll revisit it and after the season. He's played well here. He's probably exceeded everybody's expectations, and he's helped our hockey club. All right, thanks, guys.